All right, away we go. It's 2:16 in the morning, and I just have to talk a little bit about like being ADHD or ADD, adult attention deficit disorder, or ADHD in sobriety. Now, I'm like in my 28th year of recovery and sobriety, but some people have kind of like given me a gentle suggestion that I might have ADHD. And tonight I was at my alcohol support group, and I actually spoke, and I had to like tell my story, and this is what happened, and then I got sober, and yada yada. And it kind of became pretty clear that like my relationship to uh, reality, and this reality particularly, has always been contentious, number one. And I don't even know where to start on this, but I was just not present. And I think the challenge of my sobriety and sanity is to really be present. And my whole life, if you've seen my other videos, you know that people walk up to me. I have all these weird, bizarre, mystical, magical, and spiritual, supernatural experiences. I see angels, all my near-death experiences, and I'm not really sure. I never really had a good grasp of time. And that's probably why I'm like such a good medium. I actually make money and support myself from being a trance medium for other people. And I am able to access, other lives for them and their higher self. And I think I'm trying to sort out whether, like, like a true medium, a true person that can go into trance and access other memories of a person has to kind of be like ADHD. You kind of like the way that your body is wired or something to that effect. Now, when I was a little boy, I had my first meditation experience around 10, and when I was a little boy, I really didn't have a good grasp of time at all. My mom tried to hold me to this really hardcore regimen of like time to get up, time to go to sleep, time to do this, time to do that, and it was like ridiculous, actually. I mean, I couldn't do it. I'd fall asleep in class because the sugar, I would have all the sugar cereal, then I'd go to class, then I'd fall asleep. Then I'd come home and I'd fall asleep again, and she didn't like that. And then at 9:30, she would say, you have to go to bed. And then I wasn't sleepy, and then she'd get mad at me. Why did you sleep in the afternoon? And it kind of went on and on. So, also like being gay and knowing that you were gay since like 12 years old, and just having it drummed into your head like this reality doesn't want you. Now, this is in the 70s. This reality doesn't want you. God doesn't want you. And, there's nothing you can say to Jesus that will ever make up for the fact that you're gay and you were born gay. And so you're not just a sinner. You're actually like sin itself incarnate. So, oh, wow, great. So, I think I just started spacing out from a very young age. And by the time I was 12, I started doing cocaine and smoking pot. And so I'm trying to reconcile all these things about speaking tonight, my alcohol sobriety support group, and just, like knowing that I literally shorted out some of the synapses completely. I mean, I think a lot of it got healed after 28 years of abstinence and being clean off drugs and alcohol, but every once in a while when you speak, it's kind of like you realize how much damage you did. And, when as young as I was, I had my first suicide attempt at 12 on the cocaine. And, it was just basically a long suicide attempt until like 14, was it 12 years, 14 years later when I got sober. So, I'm looking around my apartment, and I was talking tonight, and I was trying to remember some stuff. I couldn't remember it. And it just made me really think, like, I had to go to actually a program for clutter. Now I'm like 25 years clean and sober, and I couldn't remember where anything was in my apartment. So I basically had to put everything, and I do mean everything, in a box. So like you have like boxes all over my house, and everything is a box, and everything is has a place. So like this is the box for the remote, and the remotes always have to go in there no matter what. And I've kind of like micromanaged around this ADHD thing. I don't know what the symptoms are, but then I came home and I actually took a quiz online, like this, ridiculous psychiatric test. And it says I scored out of a total possible 16, I scored over 13. That's what it says. And it says ADHD may be likely. Based on your responses to this adult ADHD screening quiz, you may very well have an adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. People who have answered similarly to you typically qualify for a diagnosis of ADD or ADHD and have sought professional treatment for this disorder. It goes on and on. But I realize, I don't know if it's because I'm such an old soul, and here's the segue, is all my whole life people are like, you're the most spiritually evolved person we know. And mystics and mediums and shamans and psychics always just walk up to me on the street and they want to touch me and they want to say, you're an old soul. Do you have any idea how old you are? You're like an old soul. So I was just like, maybe there's I am really an old soul, like I'm just ancient and my soul is as old as time itself, and maybe I just don't find anything here in the material world that interesting to be present for. The language of sanity and sobriety and New Age speak and all the New Age circles, is that we have to be present, and everybody is practicing present, grounded, authentic. When I do my life coaching things, I tell people to practice PCA, present, clear, and authentic, and because I've had to practice it for myself. So I was just thinking, a lot of times on my days off, I don't know what day it is, and I don't really care. And if, in the 80s or the 70s, when you went to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist would ask you, do you know what day it is? And if you didn't know, they could make a little note on their notepad and say that you were mentally ill because you didn't know what day it was. I don't even care what day it is, as long as I don't have to be to work. So, I've kind of micromanaged this thing through 28 years of being clean and sober. It used to be all the clothes would end up on the floor, and I don't really know how that happened. It would be 6 in the morning, and I haven't slept, and I don't really know how that happened. One time, my super, who lives below me, was pounding on the door, and he'd screaming, "It's 2 o'clock in the fucking morning! Why are you playing this music?" And I was like, how did I know it was 2 in the morning? I didn't know. I mean, time disappears. And you know what the thing is? I don't think I'm the only one. The weird thing is, how did I know it was 2 o'clock in the morning? Well, you'd have to come into my apartment, but my friend Vicky can verify this. The weird thing is, I collect timepieces and watches and clocks. And so in this 3-room studio, I actually have a clock in the bathroom. So when I shower, I can see the clock. And then I have 4 or 5 timepieces in the kitchen. And then I collect timepieces, so I have a bunch of timepieces over there. I have 15 watches, and I have timepieces everywhere. And I'm like, I didn't know it was 2 in the morning. But there's timepieces all over the place. To me, that would be an ADHD. I don't know. I went to a couple psychiatrists when I was younger, and this is why I don't trust psychiatrists or go to psychiatrists, because they would show me these ink blots. They're like, here's an ink blot. Kirk, what do you see? And I'm like, oh, I see ink blots. And they're like, no, that's not the test. You have to look at it and see something in the ink blot. And I'm like, well, all I see is an ink blot. Well, if there was something in the ink blot, something that's not really there. And I'm like, well, how can I see it if it's not there? Well, just pretend there's something there. Why should I pretend that there's something there? And I just look at the doctor who's the crazy one here, me or you? Like, who's the one that's like got something wrong? It's a daub of ink on a piece of paper. No, you have to look at the ink blot and say there's something there. Well, then I said, then you'll just say, see, I just like forgot for a minute. Then you'll say, then I say to the doctor, what, you want me to see something that's not there? Well, then if I see something that's not there, then you're just going to say I'm seeing things that aren't there. So how can I see them if they're not there, doctor? How can you're just going to say I'm seeing things? I don't know what you're going to do, but I don't know what like ink blots have to do with my emotional and psychic condition at all. So I just learned after like having to look at these ink blots half my life, I'm just like, oh, that's like two ladies holding hands. They're like really good friends. Because if you ever see anything bad, like, oh, it's, you know, it's vampires and stuff. And it's like, oh, it's like ghouls and demons coming to kill you and your mom. Okay, then they like get all freaked out and then they start scribbling faster. So I just go, look, it's an ink blot. I don't care. I don't see it. How can I see it if it's not there? Well, do you ever see things that aren't there? No. How can I see them if they're not there? Anyway, so, but, you know, according to them, but they're so, like, psychically stupid. Okay, this has to do with basic spiritual, emotional intelligence. They're so psychically and spiritually, like, dead that they can't see the stuff that actually really is there. And if you tell them that the stuff is there, then they like scribble faster and faster. Like, oh, he has this disorder, he has that disorder, he has this disorder. And you know what? I think there's something in the water that makes us all ADHD anyways. They say that like fluoride, like it burns out the front of your lobes in your brain. They study the brain. This part is this part likes chocolate, this part wants sex, this part is critical thinking, this part is impulse control. And I really think all the fluoride and the lead in the water is like eliminating our filter for impulse control. I really do think that we're not going off the deep end psychiatrically, we're going off the deep end chemically. And now all these chemicals are in the water that they cannot filter out. They freely admit. And if they freely admit anything, you know, like it's a bonfire out of control. Like, oh, we admit, like, there are certain things we can't get out of the water. And so you're basically drinking a soup of pharmaceutical chemicals. God only knows what you're drinking. We don't even know what you're drinking. Nobody knows what you're drinking, but you're drinking it anyways. It's in the food. It's in the animals. It's in the glands of all the animals you eat. And it's in your glands and, you know, your brain and everything. You know, it's just like modern day Rome. Anyway, so I'm just speaking and I'm just realizing like how far I came with my own personal ADHD and my clutter free. And now I don't have like a hoarding problem like you see on hoarders or an unsanitary problem. I have the like clutter of like one time I put all these books around my bed. This was like in new sobriety. Doesn't really count the first 5 years of sobriety. Trust me, if you're newly sober, it doesn't really count. The first 5 years, just don't fucking drink or pick up drugs. That's all you're going to do in the first 5 years. But anyways, I started putting books. I started getting this weird, and I didn't even realize it. And pretty soon there was books all around my bed. And then one day I just like got up and I was like, who put all these books there? Of course, like nobody, you know, I live with one guy. He would never like sneak into my room and put all these books around my bed. So I had to admit. Now, I've lived alone for like 22 years now. And, you know, to get me to admit something is only because I live alone. Because if I live with somebody, I would just be like, who did this? Who did that? Who put this there? Why can't you do this? But I live alone, so, you know, I have these conversations with myself. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And the other weird thing is, like, my dog, I think the dogs actually take and pick up the neurosis or the behavior of the owner. And so I think my dog actually has ADHD as well. Because, like, sometimes I'm like, I taught her, you know, her proper name's Serena. And I'm like, Serena, sit. And we've learned sit and bed, go to your bed, and we've learned roll over, and we've learned give mommy a kiss. Okay, that's what I say to my dog, Snuggles. Okay, I'm Snuggles' mommy. her drag name is Snuggles. And I'm like, Snuggles, give mommy a kiss, come on. So, the dog knows the command by the tone of voice. But, like, I think the dog has ADHD as well because, like, I'm like, Snuggles, sit, sit, sit. And then she looks at me and she just kind of like, she's trying to, like, figure it out. So, to her, sometimes sit can mean sit on her bottom, or it can mean sit down on all fours, or sometimes it can mean roll over, or sometimes she runs to her bed, or sometimes she just stares at me like she's not really sure what sit means. So, to my dog has ADHD as well, except like when she's hungry. Then she comes up and she licks my face until I feed her, and she will not stop licking my face. Anyway, so those are some of my thoughts, and I don't know if anybody like watching this thinks they have ADHD or ADD, adult attention dysfunction, or whatever. But you know what? I'm feeling really good because I really literally had to go to this clutter-free program, and so the test of my sobriety on the clutter is if I have to look for something in my house for more than 2 minutes, then I'm not sane on my baseline of sobriety, the clutter sobriety. And if I have to look for something for more than 2 minutes, then I'm like not working my program on the clutter-free thing. And it really does, because what happens is I start going into a rant, and then I turn into my dad. Because you know what? I realized another thing. How much time is this? 16 minutes? I realized that my dad ran this multi-million dollar business, and there was like paper and notes and sticky notes and paper and envelopes all over the place, and it was just piled everywhere. And I think my dad had like ADHD too. And I just couldn't believe it. And then every once in a while, all the paper would just like go, and it would just fall over. And then you did not want to be anywhere near that company like for like a week after that, because then it would go into a rant and he couldn't find anything. And I think it was kind of like trying to bond with my dad on the ADHD paper clutter thing, because I would like look for something like these are the number one offenders, major. Okay, these are like such big offenders because I can't find them. You have one for the TV, you have one for the cable, you have one for the remote, volume. And when I can't find them, so I literally, it has to go in a box every time. It has to go in a box. This has to go in a box. And certain things have to like always be in this box. And so in the process of living in only one apartment over 20 years, I've been able to do this for myself. And I just realized tonight that I have, like, if you have this disorder, everything's a disorder. I don't know. Panic disorder, anxiety disorder, everything's a fucking disorder. You can't just be like a weird human anymore. Oh, he's so weird. Used to be weird. Well, he's just weird. Anyways, so everything like gets a box, everything gets a place. And everything is hyper, micro, completely managed. Now, let me just, I got that part of it. But if I have to look for something more than like 5 minutes, then I'm fucked up somewhere. The clothes don't go on the floor, ever. Never again. Okay, so I'm like half my sobriety on that. And then, I know I wanted to talk about money because I had to go to another program to be present with money. And I know that a lot of people are going to identify with this, but I think I kind of had like a severe case, because what I was doing was, in my sobriety, I was walking into stores like in a weird financial blackout, like in a trance. I would walk in, and I'll be like, here's a credit card. But I'm not going to hold it up because it's probably the number, and then I'll have identity theft, and it'll be horrible. But anyways, I go in with the credit card. I'm buying something. I don't even know what I'm buying. This has happened an uncountable number of times. I don't know what I'm buying, and then I just leave. Like, I already bought it, and I leave, and I don't even pick up the shit I bought. And so somebody's like tapping me on the shoulder outside in the parking lot, or outside in, New York on the street, going, "Excuse me, sir, here's your credit card and here's your stuff you bought. Don't you want it?" I mean, like, literally, I have gone into restaurants. I was in a cafeteria once. I went through the entire line and bought the food and paid for the food, and then just walked away. This is the honest truth. You cannot make this stuff up. So I had to go to another program to be like, okay, every time you take your wallet out, you're going to pay attention. Because, I was getting all these credit card bills, and I was like, did somebody steal my credit card? How come all this shit is on my credit card? And so I started saving the receipts. And now when I check the bill and everything, I check it against the receipt, and I'm like, okay, I did that. Oh, God, I did that. Okay, I did that too. Oh, my God, I did that. So, I used to have money, and I would leave the house, and I would never know how much money was in my wallet. I would always come back, sometimes with shit and no money, and sometimes with just no money and no shit. So I really, really had to also go to another program to learn to pay attention to, like, Kirk, every time you take your wallet out, you have to tell yourself, I'm spending money, or I'm taking my credit card out. What are you buying? Why are you doing it? And go through the whole process so you're not like in a blackout, in a shopping blackout. I really think there's something to this. When the store clerk is like chasing you, going like, you just spent $500 on sheets, and you paid for them, and you just left them there. This is the honest truth, and I'm not kidding. It happened more times. And finally, after like the 100th, 200th time, I was like, something's really wrong. I mean, my friends have pulled me out of traffic more times than you can count. So I'm just like, all these people are like, you're such an old soul. Like, I wonder what it is in me about being a medium and being able to access somebody's higher self and all of their memories of their entire life and either other lifetimes, but also like not really like, it's fallout. I think it's fallout from being a medium for people, as well as, frying my brain on cocaine, heroin, and pot for, 14 years in like the most formative time of my, synapses and, what's all those chemicals in your brain? Probably just got fried out. And, that's probably why I'm such like an incredible medium, is because I can just like, I can disappear from my life like instantly. So, my chore and my challenge is to be present in sobriety. And, not to access my dad's ranting about the paper rant and where's this and why can't I find that? Because, he had like 4 secretaries to yell at. And, for me, it's just like my dog. And I'm not going to like go into a rant on my dog. Like, where's the remote control? Like, she doesn't know, okay? Like maybe I should coat the remote control and like liver snaps or something. But I can't tell you how many times I've ran around the apartment going like, where's the or like, oh my God, I'm late. That's another one. Oh my God, I lost track of time. I'm late. I'm late because my concept of time, when I got sober, they asked me what my sobriety date was, and I didn't know. And I had a journal, and I had to go back through the journal. I didn't have any money, so I was writing on like all the margins and everything. And I didn't know, like, and then I just stopped putting the dates in about this happened then, this happened in this country, that happened in that country. And finally, my support person said, okay, you know what, just pick a day. We know what year it is. It's 1984, but you don't know. It could have been in June when you quit drinking. It could have been some of July, and it could have been like a week or two in August. Just pick a day. Like, it's actually really kind of common that people don't know when they quit drinking. They don't know. Oh, I was so fucked up. I don't even know when I stopped doing coke and alcohol. I don't know. I was that fucked up. It could be 6 weeks. So, my contentious relationship with time is never really, it's never been healed. I don't know. I mean, I've written and kept all these journals all these years because I wanted to know what I did and when. And I have like, I have a calendar, and I had to memorize when my bills are due. Like literally for 6 months, I had to go over every day. My bills are due, blah, 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 blah. My bills are due, blah, 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 blah. Here are the 5 dates that my bills are due. These are when the bills are due. And eventually I finally got it down, because what happened was I wasn't opening up the mail. And like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks would go by and I wouldn't open the mail. And then I was like, oh my God, how did like 6 weeks go by where I don't open the mail? Now I miss my bills. Now I'm racking up debt. In addition to like all this stuff I bought that I bought in a blackout and didn't even know, a sober blackout. And so, I just think my life is like infinitely, completely, but better. Because I had to learn, like, I have whatever this thing is, or I don't have it, or I don't really care about time, or I'm such an old soul. I've had 5 near-death experiences that, like, possibly, like, trauma distorts your memory, and trauma, like, if a psychiatrist got a hold of me, from what I know, I have classic trauma symptoms. I have blank spots, I black out, I have a lot of sexual trauma, a lot of emotional trauma, and a lot of spiritual trauma. Actually, interestingly enough, it's also very common with mystics, mediums, and shamans, if you didn't know this, that they have extremely violent, traumatic childhoods. And that, they're always getting knocked out of their body when they were younger. And I think that's what makes us great mediums, is because we literally can step aside when other people are like kind of stuck in their body and they're just grounded naturally. We're not. We just can go out to the 5th dimension. We can just come back. We know how to do it. It's something like that. So, if you've never seen me and you just kind of like Googled ADHD or ADHD sobriety or, sober person or something, got this video. I have like over 100 other videos. You just type in, see, I have all the pens ready to go, okay? Everything has a box in my house now, okay? So I'm just micromanaging, but get a pen, write it down. Kirk Trance Medium, Trance, Kirk Trance Medium. And I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on MySpace, and I also have 90 channelings that I give out for free as a tithe to the universe. And I also do my TV show, Kirk TV Spiritual. It's a free TV show. It's you can watch it anywhere around the world where there's a computer connection on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. That's MNN. That would be Mary Nancy or Money Neverland, MNN.org. Channel 57, New York City time, 11:30 p.m. every Monday. And we're in our 7th year of programming. So, I don't know, my viewers are going to like this, and they just like to hear about all my spills, thrills, chills, and adventures. And I don't know where my dog is. She's like, I don't know what she's doing. But, pray for my ADHD dog, poor doggy. Because, the dog will get the neurosis of the owner. And so, if I have the ADHD, the dog has it too now. So, like, that's why, she'll come to, like, one name one time. She'll come to Serena. She'll come to Snuggles. Anyways, but when I'm like, sit, Snuggles, she like lays down and then she looks at me like, is that right? This actually happens. Or like, I'm like, get in the bed. And then she'll like sit. And I'm like, bed. Bed, sit. Bed, sit. So, anyways, I hope this, you've learned something that, maybe you're in new sobriety and you have ADHD too. I'm not going to go to a psychiatrist because every time I go to a psychiatrist, they say that I see things that aren't there, and I'm like, they are there. You just can't see them, bitch. That's the difference between me and you. I don't know. The psychiatrists are like, they're so evil and mentally ill that I just don't ever want to talk to another psychiatrist ever again, actually. And the other thing is they're just going to put you on a bunch of meds, and what are the meds going to do? They're going to like give you worse ADHD because you can't think straight. So anyways, I hope I've said something that helps somebody. I'd like you to thank you for watching. And hit me up on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button or the like button. My name's Kirk. Google Kirk Trance Medium Channeler. And I do see private clients actually. If you'd really like to know about your original life purpose. I specialize in clients that are stuck. Don't ask me how that happened. That's my own special, unique gift. I can get you unstuck in under 3 sessions. It's $225 an hour. Or, $225 a session. If it goes over 2 hours, then you can start getting charged by the hour. But I am a trance medium channeler healer, and I do shamanic journeys for people. And I also have studied the tarot cards on a daily basis. And I use, the tarot cards as an esoteric system as well. I spend at least an hour with the tarot cards every day. So, I'm a full service trance medium over here, okay? And I will understand your ADHD problems. So, I'm just feel glad that I spoke for my sober support group tonight. And, I've come a long way, baby. Shakti Namaste. I'll see you in the Cyber Temple of Love, live from the fifth dimension. And thanks for watching. If you like this, pass it along to somebody else. And you are now surrounded with infinite amounts of unconditional love, now, forever, and always. From your guru, avatar, healer, shaman, mystical magic person, my name's Kirk once again, and thank you for watching. Shakti Namaste.